Okay. All right. Welcome. I'm so excited to see so many familiar faces. I'm going to actually ask Tita if you could go ahead and mute unless you have a question, because I can hear an echo. Or can I mute for you? I don't think I can. Tita, could you go ahead and mute for me? Okay, it's actually quiet now, so don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to be discussing Unreal with you as though you've never opened it before. This is like a brand new, never touched the thing. You might have some questions. I hope you do. But let's go ahead and start by first understanding that you're going to want to probably download the Epic Games Launcher to do all of your, we'll say, interfacing with Epic through that. Epic, the company that makes Unreal. We support for Unreal 4, since Unreal 5 is, I think, still on a beta launch. Yep, you got to get access to that. You can ask for it. You'll usually get it. It's awesome. I wouldn't recommend trying to run Unreal 5, though, unless you have at least a 30 series graphics card. I don't recommend trying to do anything in Unreal on a Mac. Stick with PC for this, as most of their support is with PC. Anywho, are we getting questions and I'm not necessarily sure? I don't know. Yeah, there's some folks chatting. Okay, cool. I got a question that you can download Unity on a Mac. That was from before, though, so I won't worry about that too much. Okay. All right. So with the Epic Games Launcher, should look something like this. You might actually see something that looks a little bit more like this. You'll see store, library. I'm going to be referencing the library here, but not to be confused with this library. So if you want to hide what is unnecessary here, and I'll consider it unnecessary in that I don't really operate with any of these things outside of a lens of developer. So as a player, it might make sense to have the store here because you want to download some games on here, or let's see the library of the games you have. I don't, though, so you can go into settings and go ahead and hide game library, which I'm going to do. And then we can go ahead and get started. So the marketplace is dope. This is a place where you can get access to a lot of things, also for monies or for free. Sometimes that's just art packs, which could be really helpful to you. Sometimes they're actually systems. Graph minimap, that sounds interesting. And if you're interested in checking out what's on here for free, if you just click the free, you've got these things here. Oops, daisy. You've got this whole library of stuff. Can I go to free? Yeah. Things that you could just get and have access to. Sometimes art, sometimes systems. And I recommend checking it out, especially if you're game jamming, because you need stuff quick to make your thing work. Finally, into the library is where you can actually launch whatever version of Unreal you will be working with. If you're working on a team and you guys are working in Unreal, you should agree which version you're doing this with. If you try to do migrations outside of these, the version you're working in, it's very likely that you will just not receive files. I'm going to be working in 4.26.2. You can add a version simply by clicking this little add button and choosing which version that you want to use. I think the 4.26.2 is a long-term support version, so I prefer to use it. 4.27 is their most recent. Whatever you do, though, not that it necessarily matters very much, which you should do, just make sure that it's the same with your team, all right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and launch 4.26.2 because that's what we have access to at the school. And for anybody here who might be using any school-related access stuff, because maybe you have a class that teaches Unreal or whatever, this way we can just kind of keep it consistent. All right, next, you're going to get this guy right here. From here, you can choose what type of project you're going to use. I'm gonna recommend you just stick with games. Now, low key, Unreal is really trying to get into the virtual production pipeline, like like by industry standard. Like The Mandalorian is filmed and edited in Unreal. Yeah, it's so cool what they're able to do. So you're going to see some stuff here for like film, television, and live events. They have some features here that you won't care about. And probably not what you're going to want to do, especially for making games. And even if you are making an animation, you might still want to use games, is that there's a lot more function that you can use that might actually help you in that pipeline. But that's just a piece of advice. So I'm going to go ahead and click games, and we're going to click next. Here, we'll be able to choose a template. I'm going to stick with blank, but I might recommend that you do check out some of these packs that have little setups of games already here, especially if it's something close to what you'd like to make. You can just have a out of box like working controller immediately. Okay. I think, you know what I'll do? I think I'll do a third person. Third person's fun because it's like out of box going to work for us. So I'm already kind of excited about that. Be mindful. Unreal is a very big, beefy program. It can get very big very quickly. So make sure that you either have enough room on your computer to run the program and also save the project. And if you're going in and downloading a bunch of stuff from that marketplace, be really careful. When I was a wee lass learning how to Unreal, I accidentally got my project to like 80 gigs, and I was not making Cyberpunk. So I don't know why I did that. I just really wanted to look at a lot of art, I guess. I don't know. So careful, these get big very quickly. Name your project something. I'm going to call this Global Game Jam 2022. It still feels like 2020 to me. It's like 20. It's still 2020. It's December 732, 2020. I'm going to hit create and we'll let it chooch for a second. My Steam VR keeps wanting to pop on. Sorry. So are we mostly artists here? Mostly designers? Mostly programmers? What are we looking at? Mm-hmm. Okay. Art mostly? Okay. All right. Cool. Myself too. I'm mostly an art person. Unreal is a great place to be for art. This is some of the most beautiful real-time rendering you can get out of the box right away. Okay, so I moved my face, moved my mug a little bit so that you can see a little bit more clearly what I'm looking at. Now, some of the things right off the bat that are probably going to be the most exciting is like, oh, we got some stuff going on in here. We got a dude. All right. This guy, believe it or not, he has a name. His name's Manny, short for mannequin, but all his friends call him Manny. This is pretty much set up so that if I hit play right now, I should be able to just engage with the level. Like it should just be set. And there I go. I'm able to use WASD controls and just to kind of look around, and I've got some stuff happening in here. Woo! Kick ass. All right. Cool. Third person level. All right. I'll hit escape to kind of get out of that. And you'll notice that if you've got some things selected, whatever it might be, on the right, we've got a few things happening. The top right is the world outliner. That is like a hierarchy list. And it is designed like a hierarchy in that you can nest things into what feel like folders and just keep them organized that way. This is all of the assets that are currently in the level. Assets, I use that term because making games, that's a common term for anything that you would bring into a game or project. But Unreal likes to call them actors. So an actor it can be anything. It can be anything from a mesh to a system to a blueprint that was already created for you. And on the left here, where it says place actors, you have kind of a quick access to commonly used actors, a la the cube actor, which is kind of nice because I think out of box, it's just going to work as a flat color. And I believe it should also have some collision on here. Let's give it a try. What, can I walk into you? No, I cannot. All right. So we've already got kind of some things we could start throwing in here and start like creating a level. All right. Next, the details tab. This is where a lot of the magic is going to happen. As I have another object selected, you'll notice that so do the details within the details tab. So as you edit things, you'll edit them slightly differently. How I would edit Manny's controls will be a little bit different than how I would, say, a cube or a box. If you kind of go ahead and like at some point just kind of goof around, scroll on down, you'll find that there's a lot happening here. A lot happening. One of my favorite things to make kind of obvious is if you want to create collision without necessarily having it render per se, in the visible under rendering, if you just turn that off, now I should still not be able to walk through this guy. Yeah, I can't walk through even though there's nothing there. So not a bad way to get your player as quickly as possible. But you'll notice that when I click this off, you got this tiny little arrow, this little yellow arrow right now. That little guy, see that? That dude? That is a reset to default. Now, it doesn't mean it'll always reset to true. It's just what is happening here is if you've made changes to any particular actor and you want it to go back to normal, just click that little yellow, whoop, and it will put it back to how it was before by default. It's pretty handy stuff. All right. Okay, so now that I've got cube, handy dandy cube here, I want to show you a few things that might be very helpful. Firstly, if you're going to be constructing a scene and maybe you're going to focus on your artwork in this case, you might find yourself tempted to just drop stuff in here and then try to place it. Here's the thing though. Unreal does this really cool thing where it can snap to the grid for you right here. If you have that on, this is mostly pretty harmless. You have it off though, because you want to have a little bit more control and turn all that off. And now it's very like, oh, I'm going to just kind of put that there and hopefully that doesn't look bad. Well, if you have, just bring in an asset, have it floating, and then do yourself a favor and hit end, E-N-D. It will drop it to be perfectly flush with whatever mesh is underneath it. Not just the ground, but any mesh at all. So let's just like, boop, 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 boop. Hit end. Boop, right, just like that. All right, something else you might have noticed is that I was quickly able to navigate to something that I had placed in the level. Well, if let's say I'm kind of new to putting stuff in Unreal and I accidentally like do this and I'm over here and I don't have cube selected. I got something else selected, maybe nothing selected at all. I'm lucky. I accidentally, I'm over here. Okay, wow, it's really just not. Yeah. It's going to want to try to rotate around what I have selected. That's helpful. But if I'm way out, because let's say I'm trying to do like a big level edit or something, and I can't, my God, I'm struggling. And now what do I do if I want to click a thing? Okay. Do yourself a favor, select an object that you can see and hit the letter F as in Frank. It'll reset it for you and reorient your pivot back to being center. And that also, it goes for anything that you might have here also in the world outliner. So if I wanted to, I think I've got cube mesh right there. Hit F, there we go. And it'll recenter on it for us. Just a quick snap, snippety snap, just like that. Okay. All right. All right, how are we feeling? Am I going too fast? We doing okay? Good. Okay, we'll keep going. Oh no, I can't see. Hit F. We're okay. Everything's gonna be fine. All right. Now a few other things that you're going to want to pay careful attention to is the content browser. That's my little doohickey right here down at the bottom left. Firstly, this is where you place pretty much anything that you're bringing into your game, from something from the marketplace to an asset that you created, to whatever, really. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just click this little guy right here. It's the show or hide source panel. And one of the things that I do really appreciate about Unreal is that if you hover over anything, it kind of gives you a little clue about what this is. Opens the content browser, opens the marketplace, This guy right here, show or hide sources panel, is going to actually open up what is now more of, I think, an easier to identify hierarchy of your project folders. So I know that many of you are just here to kind of learn and check out something new, but I'm going to offer one thing that you should definitely do for yourself. Make a folder immediately from the content folder. Just make a folder. It's not great practice, first of all, to be saving any of your stuff in the root folder, which is what this is called in your whole project. Now, if it's just you working on it, it's probably fine. If you're working with a team, you might need to share some of these pieces with each other, in which case you are not going to want to do it in the root folder. Do yourself a favor and just make a folder. So let's start. Firstly, okay. If I right click, first, if you click any of these, you'll notice that this guy changes. That's because it's showing me the contents of whatever folder I have selected. I hit content, which is the highest level I can go. I can create a folder here and we can name this, say, whatever we want. I'll call this GGJ22 demo. Anything that I'm showing you in this is going to go here. Anything I make or bring in here, I'd like to bring it to this folder. Now, how does this actually work in like the grander scheme of managing your files and folders on your computer? Well, one of my favies is if I right click, I can go to show in Explorer. And this is going to actually open up the location of that folder on my computer. This is excellent because this means that I can actually manage the content within here. And like, let's say that I wanted to zip up my project, I could find it much quicker that way. There, make it a little easier. So this also gives you the breadcrumbs, right? Like I can see exactly where my stuff lives. That can be kind of tricky. You know, we're dealing with these big beefy programs. They require all of these folders that it is just a lot more than just the content folder. So if I come out here where it says Global Game Jam 2022, this has the content folder, but it also has a configuration. It has a data cache. I don't even know what intermediate is. Saved content. These are all things that your project needs to open. You can't just open it with this folder here. So if you are sharing whole projects with each other, make sure you are at least at that folder level before you share it with each other. There are better ways to do it, but I think we'll cross that bridge when you get to there. I don't really need to bog it down with this in this demo here. Okay, so I've made a folder, and now let's talk about how I can actually bring content into this project that is perhaps maybe something that I made, right? That could be kind of cool. So let's start with that. All right, so I've been working on this Bender model. Don't worry about him. I think that he'll work well for this demo here. Oh, Bender cage. Okay. I got a Bender model. He's awesome. I'm going to export my Bender from Maya. I'm using Maya here. I wouldn't worry too much about what tool you're using. Blender is fine. Max is fine. 3D Studio Max. ZBrush is a little different, but it also works. As long as you're able to export FBX or OBJs, you'll be in good shape to bring it in as a game asset. So I'm going to go ahead and start by exporting. Export selection. Bender. I'm going to drop them on my desktop because I'm a hot mess. Boop. Yes, please. And yes, do I have a question? No? Okay. Okay. Bender is on my desktop right now, which I'm frantically trying to find. There. Boom. Okay, and I'm going to do is just to make this a little bit more clear. There's my Bender on my desktop. My favorite way of bringing stuff in, my favorite way is to just click and drag it in. You can right click, import asset, find it if that's what you want to do, but I like to just bring it right on over. By default, you probably don't have any issues here. So you should know, though, that if you change any import option in Unreal, it will save it from the last time that you imported. So I'm going to click reset to default on the hypothetical that I've made changes. I don't think I did, but I don't want that to be our problem. So I'm going to just click reset to default and click import all. All right. Okay, so I got my little bender dude. Brought him in and he's super duper teeny tiny. Oh no. Well, I mean, that's okay. How do those make him bigger? Well, there are better ways to export out of Maya. And I think for those of you that are interested in that, I'm happy to go into more depth about how you can set up your DCC or digital content creation application to be more one-to-one with Unreal. This is a game jam, so we really don't have to worry about best practices here. We just like, well, it's here. How about let's scale them up. So if you've got the objects selected, you'll notice here on the right, in the details, the first thing that I want to actually mess around with are the transforms. I can actually adjust the location via the transform, the rotation, or the scale. The scale, I mean, Bender's approximately a centimeter here, so we should probably make him, at least a meter. At least. Oh, that's not even close. All right, let's go big. We'll do 50 by 50. Boop. Boop. All right. Okay, that's a little bit more appropriate. He's kind of big. He's big compared to Manny. But you can actually adjust like the numbers and values here to rescale him as you'd like. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to scale him by hand. Whoop. The hotkeys for the transforms within the viewport are WER, move, rotate, scale, just like in Maya, real common stuff. I'm pretty pleased with how he's looking here. But what I'd really like to do is maybe apply a material to an object. Now, we only have about 5 minutes left of this workshop. I'm happy to go into more detail about how to bring in more custom maps for something. But I think what we should do is maybe stick to just editing a single material. So right now, you'll notice here at the bottom where I've imported 2 objects, I've got 2 little asterisks right next to each item. Well, that's not really the case if I look at, say, almost anything else in here. There's no asterisks in here. That means, well, Unreal calls them dirty. They're dirty. They're in your project, but they haven't been saved. So if I were to go to Show and Explorer, they are not there. And it isn't until I've saved them in the project will Unreal call them in the project. So this is just a cache right now. It's not actually there yet. So once you get something in, make sure you're saving regularly. Click Save All. Yeah, like, hey, do you want to save your Bender and the Lambert material that was applied to him and the changes that you oddly made to the third-person map? Yes, I do. I'm going to save all that. Gadoosh. All of those are gone. No more icky asterisks. And now it is clean. Now, if I go to, there it is, my Bender and material asset. Right there. Easy peasy. Okay, so let's see if I can actually get in here and make some edits to this material right away. When you double click a thing, I really did not get a chance to cover blueprints with you guys, but there's just so much to go. It brought in a material, but it is super basic. Right now, the only parameter I have is just this color. Well, you can, if you'd like to, change this color to something a little cooler. And we can also apply texture maps this way. I think I could probably help you get to where you're trying to go, and depending on what kind of asset you're bringing in or what style you want to use with it. For now, just know that you can edit the material in the material editor, and it will change it once saved on your asset in the viewport and in the project. Okay. Do I have time? Do I have time for a blueprint? Okay. So hopefully I've gotten you dirty enough to be able to go in here and maybe make a quick level. You should be able to level edit. You do know how to bring in an asset, but if you want to construct a blueprint, which is for our programmers out there, I can show you how to get started. Now, there are 2 types of blueprints that you'll want to be worried about. That's master blueprints, or blueprints for the whole level blueprints, or a blueprint class, like an empty blueprint class. Those are created and put in the project. The level blueprint specifically edits the current level that you're working in. So I'm going to open the level blueprint and do a quick hello world so that you can see how it kind of effectively works like one-to-one. First off, you're going to see this grid. And to pull up a list of options for you to go down and look into these different functions, hit right click. What I'm going to pull up is, I think it's begin event. It's event begin play. That's what I'm looking for. Event begin play. That means if we hover, event when play begins for this actor. So when we hit play, do a thing. That's what we've got. I want to do something when I hit play. All right. I would like hello world to pop up. So I'm going to add a thing to happen when we hit event begin play. I think it is print string. Yes. I am a programmer. I'm not. If anybody here's a programmer, you know what a joke that was. That's not true. All right. So I've got print string and right here it says hello. Well, first off, we got to make our first hello world because tradition. All right. So not right now, nothing will happen if I hit play because I haven't compiled this yet. Compiling is close to saving. It's making sure that it is running all of the logic and it's going to spit out any problems if there are any. And no, there are not. I got a check mark. So I'll go ahead and save that. Come on over here to my level and I'm going to hit play. Whoop. Hello world. Right there. There was, oh, it went away pretty quickly though, didn't it? All right. So once that I've got my hello world up, I can actually drop this down. See where it says development only? Well, we're developers. So I'm going to drop that down. We can put hello world. I would like to put more in here though. Oh, let's drop that up. Oh, stop play. Hello world. I'm going to put hello. It's a me, a Mario. Now, if I want that to be read, I definitely need more time. So if I drop down development only, I can actually change the text color to something cool and awesome, like purple. Actually, maybe I'd make it like a bright purple. Oh, that's pretty color. And we can change the duration for how long it runs. Let's say 5 seconds. All right, let's hit compile. Looking good. Hit play. Hello, it's me, a Mario. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you make Hello World work in Unreal. Essentially, that is how you start to compile your game logic within the blueprint structure. There's so much more that you can do with blueprints. Like I said, I wouldn't be able to get to all of it in 30 minutes, but I hope that now you would consider yourself dangerous enough to make something super cool for Global Game Jam 2022. Woo!